Welcome, Stachers. Welcome to another episode of Stache Sports. Hope you Stachers having a good day. Last night, the United States had their first loss to Turkey. The United States did not look good at all last night. They had a lot of their bench players in. I mean, it makes sense that they did have a lot of their bench players in because it was already predetermined before the game even started that the United States was going to be in the next round. Everybody went around. The thing they couldn't do last night is sweep the group stage that they'd never done before because they lost 3-2 to Turkey, which is surprising because Turkey has never won a game so far and they haven't scored. I mean, I'm not here to start having a meltdown and saying that the United States is done. I'm not here to say that. I just think Turkey was trying really hard last night to try to at least get one win before going back home because they're not moving on. And like I said, the United States played more relaxed because they already knew, regardless of the outcome, they were already going to play on Wednesday and play in a round of 32, and standings and seeding is going to change no matter what happened. And they also played some of their backups. I mean, it shows you that they might not need to start the backups and start the players that were doing good. But it was nice to see Christian Pulisic come back and do good. I mean, he had a couple good shots. It's just that Turkey goaltender was really good last night in the second half. I mean, the second half was a lot different in the first half. If it wasn't for the extra time and the extra time, maybe the United States would have won because Turkey won late, which was a little depressing. But I still think the U.S. has a strong chance. And I still think the USA is pretty good and has a strong chance of winning the World Cup. I'm not determined in the least. I'm not deterred in the least by all that happening, but we'll see. The USA has off now until next Wednesday when they play in the round stage of Group 32. Here's some of the news going on in the World Cup live updates. Haaland on the bench. Haaland him off the bench as France and Norway decide Group I. In a huge matchup to decide Group I of the 2006 FIFA World Cup, France, Mebes, France taking early on England, Holland, and Norway. In the high-stakes match to decide who will finish in the first and who will finish in second. Enjoy the live updates. Right now, it's at halftime, and France is winning 3-1. I think France holds off. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting second half, and I'll watch the rest of the second half after this. But I've been really enjoying this soccer right now. But one of the players for France had a hat trick. That's one of the fastest hat tricks in modern day history, or one of the easy. I don't know about the fastest, but it's one of the good hat tricks in modern day of the World Cup. Penalty on Norway. Here we go. The second fastest hat trick at the World Cup from Dembele, D-E-M-B-L-E today. France. Hat trick, July 32 minutes into today's game, and the second earliest as a player who has scored a FIFA World Cup hat trick. The hat trick is meaning he scored 3 goals. That's good. It's going to be interesting to see what Norway's coach does and see what Norway's coach does, but it's going to be 1 or 2. So they're both moving on to the next round and being around the 32. It says who wants to have number 1 seed, maybe have a better seeding, and who wants to win the division. Right now, it's looking pretty good. The last time we had the fastest hat trick in 32 minutes was in the FIFA World Cup. It was in a match behind Eric Probos in 1954 for Australia against Czech in 24 minutes. So he had a faster in 24 minutes, and this guy had a second fastest in 32 minutes. And that was in 1954, before a lot of these Stachers that watch the show were born. But it's quite impressive. Congratulations to OUSMANE DEMBELEL. Rapid. Now the question is, can Norway get back into it? Norway's looking pretty good, but we'll see what happens with Norway if they can get back into it. But we'll see. The USA, after their loss last night, even though they have won the men's group for the first time since 2010, and then pretty good, the USA men's soccer national team has gave the new coach a new contract. Oh, I guess they haven't. I thought I saw something that they have. Maybe they have or something. I don't know. But they need to give the coach a new contract. He's a pretty good coach for the United States, and they need to give him a good contract. Like nobody can give him a good contract, which that's something the United States needs. And they asked him weird questions, I guess, yesterday in the press conference, but his main focus wasn't winning. But like I said earlier in the video, they rested most of the players, because I watched most of that game. They rested most of the players, so that's one reason why the United States lost. I mean, going to have different lineups going in, but we'll see. Here's the bracket so far. In the round of 32, we have South Africa playing Canada. That looks like it should be set for June 28th at 3 p.m. We have Morocco playing the Netherlands. That's set for June 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That one still hasn't been decided yet. That one either. The USA will be playing BONSIA-HERZ on July 1st at 8 p.m. But it said Southcast starts at 6 p.m., so I don't know. But I'll keep my eye on that when that game comes up on Wednesday, and we'll talk more about that on Wednesday's episode of Stache Sports. Brazil plays Japan on June 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are all the teams that have games right now. Teams that don't have games right now, Switzerland is playing, has to wait for their opponent. Australia has to wait for their opponent. Argentina has to wait for their opponent. And Mexico has to wait for their opponent. Ivory Coast is doing really good. Ivory Coast is one of the shock teams in this country, shock teams in the spring right now. And the Ivory Coast is looking pretty good, but they have to wait for their opponent. And so far and Germany has to wait for their opponent. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches that haven't been determined yet in the round of 32. But these games are playing out, and I think they finish Saturday night before the round of 32 starts on Sunday, or maybe they finish Sunday. But we'll get more into that later, and more into the other stuff later about this Men's World Cup. The United States is really hosting well. I'm really excited to see all these people that are coming in who are enjoying themselves. Right now, Senegal is beating Iraq 1-0 in Toronto. Tonight in Texas, Saudi Arabia plays Cape Verde. I think Saudi Arabia beats Cape Verde tonight, but we'll see tomorrow on Stache Sports episode. They play tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. At 8 p.m. Eastern, Uruguay plays Spain. I think Spain beats Uruguay 2-0, but we'll see when we talk about it tomorrow. At 11 p.m., Iran plays Egypt. I think Egypt beats Iran, and I think tonight's game at New Zealand, I think Belgium beats New Zealand. But we'll see. We'll talk more about that later and talk more about the other stuff. Ooh, 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 ooh. Today, the New York Mets fired their general manager. The New York Mets fired their general manager. It's going to be interesting to see who the New York Mets get as a new general manager because they've been pretty bad. The New York Mets are one of the highest paid teams in baseball, but they fired a manager and they're looking really bad. The New York Mets are dead last in the division at 34-47. 15 games back of the Atlanta Braves at 48-31 in that division. The Pirates are better than them, and the Pirates don't have as much money as the New York Mets do. It's interesting to see why the New York Mets are doing bad. And the Pirates are 41-40. The Pirates look to be able to beat the last place Reds today as Paul Skeens is on the mound. And we got finally some good news as Pittsburgh fans are wanting to know. Today is marked today, only having one rehab game assignment, but Connor Griffin is back up and will be starting off tonight's lineup at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time when the Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds in Pittsburgh. It's so glad to see Connor Griffin back. That's something the Pirates needed. They needed Connor Griffin back. They need that bat because we lost Spencer Horowitz and we've lost O'Neal Cruz, so we need that bat. Hopefully we can get the other bats going too, and the Pirates can keep their winning ways. The Pirates have won the last two against Seattle. It's going to be interesting to see what they do now when they play the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, the Cincinnati Reds always seem to give us trouble, but let's hope Paul Skeens can get back to 500 in his win column. He's 6-7 right now. 6-7. But let's see. Let's hope we can get to 7-7 and have another good game. That's something the Pirates need. They need Paul Skeens to have a great game. They need Paul Skeens to go back to classic Paul Skeens and have one of his classic games and have one of his good games. They need Paul Skeens to do good. Like I said yesterday, Pirates won 5-1. If you go back, you can watch yesterday, but I'm just going to repeat it again anyway. Loud home run to right, and Davis home run. Davis is doing a lot better. Let's hope Davis can get his bat because Davis is going to be playing again today because Paul Skeens really likes Henry Davis as his catcher. So let's hope Henry Davis is back and be strong today. Let's hope Connor Griffin can have a good home run or a good couple hits today in his game back. Let's hope he can start off swinging. We need that shortstop back because Jared Chirola was not good cutting in that shortstop. So let's hope Nick Gonzalez also can have a hit today. Let's hope the Pirates bats are alive today. That's what they need in the Paul Skeens day. They need to have live bats, but we'll see what happens. The Tampa Bay Rays won 13. The Pirates won 5-1. The Tigers lost 2-1 to the Astros. The Rangers beat the Blue Jays 6-5. The Cubs won 4-3. And then the Mets fired the manager today. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Mets since they fired the manager. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 8-6-3. The Athletics won 9-6. The Phillies won 10-0. And the Arizona Diamondbacks game was postponed. The Pirates play the Reds tonight. I think the Pirates are going to win. I think Paul Skeens has to get another game. I'll be watching the game, but I think Paul Skeens has yet another great game. Let's just hope the Pirates bats can get a good lead, start off a game. Maybe Connor Griffin can have a home run to start off a game or get some base running and get some people in to have Paul Skeens have a good lead off before he pitches. And let's hope Paul Skeens can have a good game because Paul Skeens' last few games has been giving up some home runs. So let's hope we can cut that out and not give up as many home runs today. And the Pirates can have a strong game in Pittsburgh. It might be tough but we'll see. But I think the Pirates win. I think the Tigers beat the Astros. I think the Blue Jays beat the Rangers. I think the Rays beat the Diamondbacks. I think the Red Sox beat the Yankees. I think the Phillies beat the Mets. I think the Mariners beat the Indians. I think the Cubs beat the Brewers. I think the Dodgers beat the Padres. I think the Orioles beat the Nationals. The White Sox beat the Royals. The Twins beat the Rockies. The Marlins beat the Cardinals. The Angels beat the Athletics. And the Braves beat the Giants. But we'll see. What's next for the Mets after firing their general manager? Despite a $379 plus competitive balance tax payroll, the second highest total in baseball after Los Angeles Dodgers. Wow, I didn't know that. But the New York Mets were the second highest payroll behind the Los Angeles Dodgers and won back-to-back World Series. I mean, that's pretty bad to be this bad and be last place in the division when they have more money than anybody in the division. The Mets are just 34-47 in last place in the National League East. They are also in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. They're also in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. So that's not good, but we'll see what happens. But that's pretty bad that the Mets are that bad when the Mets have that much payroll in baseball. That's something that's wrong with baseball too. That's something that needs to be changed in this new ABA. I mean, I get it. I know it's going to be hard to change that, but they need to have more teams be more competitive than just the Mets and some of these higher up teams. I mean, it screws the Pirates over, but the Pirates probably won't be able to afford Paul Skeens when Paul Skeens comes up to a free agent unless they have some kind of bargaining agreement and some kind of thing. But I get it. Because some people like the Mets and Dodgers, if they have something, might have to shed some players away or try to trim the roster down to get underneath the salary cap or salary floor or whatever they put the money at. I mean, that's what's going to be tough, and that's what's going to might cause a baseball blackout next year, depending on what happens, because they probably won't be able to agree on something. So it could cause the MLB blackout next year. But I really do, in my bottom of my heart, think that baseball should comply with all the rest of the sports and have a salary cap. I mean, all the other sports have a salary cap, but I mean, I know the game might be too late now, but they waited this long to have a salary cap, and with all the Dodgers and Mets, even though the Mets stink this year, with the Dodgers and Mets signing all these players, I mean, that's going to be something tough too. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next year's collective bargaining agreement for the MLB, but I really do think they need to establish some kind of salary cap or salary floor to help these lower market teams like the Pirates be more interested and more attractive and more competitive. I mean, really, let's be fair. Be honest. We all know that it's going to come down between the Dodgers and whoever the Dodgers want to play, since the Dodgers have the most money. But if the Pirates and the other teams like the Pirates don't really have a chance when it comes to the playoffs, even if they make it. I mean, they might have a chance, and they might be one of these Cinderella teams. But like football, you have all these different teams in basketball and all these other sports and hockey that have salary cap. So that's why I think baseball should have a salary cap. But we'll talk more about that later on. Well, will the Mets turn the season around now? But they fire Mendoza? I don't know. But I don't know watching the Mets baseball, but I don't know. But it is nice to see. It is nice to see Connor Griffin back tonight for the Pirates. Let's hope Connor Griffin can have a big night for the Pirates. I think the sun beat the Majestic tonight. I think the fire beat the sky. I think the dream beat the Valkyrias. That's my ladies' basketball. It's in the NFL news. What is the news in the NFL? A Lions player, Arnold, should be jailed until trial. That's not good. Detroit Lions quarterback Trent Arnold, who is facing felony charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. He might be done playing NFL with kidnapping. That's not a good thing to have. I mean, I know some of them times they can get out of it, but that's not good to have kidnapping on that. Appeared on the hearing Thursday in Tampa, Florida, and was ordered to be held without bail until a destination hearing scheduled for Monday morning. Prosecutors argued with the hearing that Arnold should remain in custody without bail until trial. The Hillsborough County, Florida District Attorney announced Thursday. Arnold briefly appeared in court Thursday by video as a judge announced charges of kidnapping and armed robbery and conspiracy against the cornerback. The charges could carry a sentence up to life in prison. Oh no, that's not good. If he has life in prison and he gets that. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Because sometimes when these rich and famous people, they might be able to wipe their way out of it. But I hope he doesn't. I hope he gets the max or whatever. Because I don't know. I don't know what I hope. I mean, I hope it's an easy trial. I hope it's a good trial and they figure out what to do the best. And they don't try to give him any free anything because he's a football player. He denying his allegations, so it's going to be interesting. But we'll keep our eye on that. He's only 23. So that's not good if he has life in prison when his NFL career is just starting to hit off the ground. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I'll keep my eye on that and talk more about that when that happens. But right now, we don't have much more than just what is said there. The CFL also won't let Dylan Sorsby or Brendan Sorsby join the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what Brendan Sorsby does. Is the XFL going to let him join? They might, but the Canadian Football League won't let him join. And like I said the other day, for not holding a supplementary draft, so he would have to come into next year's draft like he would have if he didn't have a gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a gambling problem. But if he didn't have a gambling problem and didn't get kicked out of school and get in trouble and get banned by the NCAA, he could have came in next year. I mean, I think he still can come in next year, but he might have to take a year off and try to better himself and get better from his gambling addiction, but we'll see what happens to that. NFL releases dates for 2027 NFL Draft in Washington. It's going to be Thursday, April 29th through May 1st. Congratulations. Chicago Bears quarterback Wilson attempted to trademark Iceman, but intentionally refused. Caleb Williams attempted the word Iceman, but has lost temporary ban given the boot. The United States, so he lost his trademark for Iceman. I mean, I don't know if he's really Iceman, but I guess he won't be called that because he can't get the trademark, so maybe better luck next time. I mean, he's an okay quarterback. He had a decent year last year. It was okay the first year. I don't know if I'm going to really be calling him an Iceman. Ayuk is making more noise. Ayuk says that the 49ers coming. I will sign up for the Commanders tomorrow. Brandon Ayuk continued his push to become a member of the Commanders Wednesday, saying in the video posted on Instagram, geez, he keeps posting all these videos on Instagram. I wonder if the Commanders are even going to want him if he keeps posting all these videos, even though he says he wants them. Because that's something you don't need on your field. You don't need that toxicity. You don't need that toxic kind of player that has it all about him and it's all on his social media. Because that could be a big distraction in your team's upcoming plans and your team's future. I mean, it might be good if he goes there, but he was hurt last year on a torn ACL. So it's going to be interesting to see how he responds back. Because Brandon Ayuk is not getting any younger. It's going to be interesting to see how he responds back after torn ACL. Because sometimes after torn ACL, some players don't respond back quite well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If he responds back and he does good, then it might be good. But we'll see what happens. And like I said, the Jaguars and Brent Strange got a $48 million deal. That's good for him because I think he's a decent tight end. Tonight is round one of the 2026 NHL Draft. I don't really know much about the NHL Draft. I mean, I don't really watch college hockey. But let's see what the Penguins can do at 22 or 21, whatever pick they do, unless they trade up or trade down or trade out of a pick. But the only one I really do know is Gavin McKinnon from the University of Penn State. We are Penn State. Should be going number 1 overall to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Congratulations to him if he does go number 1 overall to the Toronto Maple Leafs, unless the Toronto Maple Leafs decide to trade back and get more capital. But we'll see what happens to that. Here's the NFL mock draft like I did NBA. The top 32 picks. Of course, at number 1, Gavin McKinnon from Penn State goes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll see how right this is. I'll make sure I save this for tomorrow. San Jose Sharks select Ivor Stanenberg from Darlia. Who cares about that? Vancouver Canucks select Chase Reed at number 3. Number 4, the Buffalo Sabres from Chicago select Caleb Matoli from Bamford. New York Rangers select Archie Smith, D. Carson Kelly is D from Prince, Georgia. The Seattle Kraken select Jackson Rudolph, a D from Canada, a defensive man from Canada. Winnipeg Jets select Vigio Broadchalk. I'm probably mispronouncing these names, but I don't really care. A C in right ring from, I don't know, from some SHL team. The San Jose Sharks from Florida select Keaton Vanderhoff, a defense of North Dakota State. Or North Dakota State. The Nashville Predators select at number 10, Evan Burris, LW, a left winger. St. Louis Blues select Malte Gaston, a defensive man. Probably mispronounced that too. New Jersey Devils will select Wyatt Cullen, a left wing. New York Islanders select Tyran Lawrence, a C from Boston University. At number 14, and this is a mock draft for either that might be turning in. So this might not happen. I mean, a lot of people think Gavin McKinnon is going to go number 1, like I said, but this is a mock draft because the draft hasn't started yet. It starts tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN. The Columbus Blue Jackets 14 selects Ryan Lynn, a defensive man from Vancouver. St. Louis Blues select Oscar Heming, a left wing from Boston College. St. Louis Blues select back-to-back picks for St. Louis Blues. They might try to trade out of 16 and get more capital, so I wouldn't be surprised there. But if they don't, in this mock draft, they think they select Alexander Coleman, center. Los Angeles Kings select Nikita Kopi, a right winger. At 18, the Washington Capitals select Oliver Savidio, center. Utah Mammoth, that's a stupid name, select Adam Norberty, a left winger from Petersburg, Canada. Buffalo Sabres at 20 pick another center in I. Matavi from Miami University of Ohio. Or Miami University, maybe it's whatever, one of them. The Philadelphia Criers select a guy, Maskim, whatever, I'm not going to pronounce that. At 22, our beloved Pittsburgh Penguins, according to this mock draft, select J.B. Hubert, a left winger from KAM-LOPS. The Penguins are heavily contested with both Ryan Lynn and Lee Machar. If either of them fall to this point, either Penguins pounds if both are gone, and we probably will be by that night, by the time the Penguins might trade this pick. So don't be surprised, Kyle Dubas might trade his pick, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. If Kyle Dubas does trade his pick, let's hope Kyle Dubas can get something good, because that's what we need. At 23, which this doesn't have trades, I guess. At 20, in this mock draft. At 23, Boston Bruins select Tommy Bleyl from whatever. Vancouver Canucks select Mathis Patterson, a right winger from Vancouver. So I guess he's just going to stay home when we go to Vancouver. The Ottawa Senators select Maddox DeGeneres, a center from Quebec. The New York Rangers select Brooks Rosowski, a center. At number 27, San Jose Sharks select Elton Hemerson. At 27, or 28, Montreal Canadiens select Gabe, Gallup, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. At 29, St. Louis Blues select Jax Hartshaw, a center from Youngstown, Ohio. And at 30, the Clyde Glory fame select... Oh, that's right too, buddy. And at 30, the Calgary Flames select Liam Ruck. At 31, the defending champions Carolina Hurricanes select Xavier Valen-Reed, defensive man. And the last pick tonight, Marcus Nordermack is projected. But this is a mock draft. I'll be more than happy to talk more about the draft tomorrow after the talk. And we'll talk more about what the new management, the new owners, Hobmans, and Kyle Dubas does with the number 22 pick in this year's NHL draft. I would not be surprised if the Penguins trade away this year's pick and got something capital in return. Because that's something they might need, is get more picks later on or try to get a player that can play now and a proven player. I mean, I wouldn't mind that either if they try to do that and trade this pick away for player proven. But I'll keep my eye on that tonight, as I'll keep my eye on other stuff tonight. Now we're going to go back to the World Cup before we finish today. And tomorrow's episode, we're going to talk about the Night of Champions at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN app. That's tomorrow from the WWE headquarters. Or from Saudi Arabia. That's tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow on tomorrow's episode of Stache Sports. In the 78th minute, France is still up 3-1 on Norway. Norway needs to start scoring fast, or Norway is going to be number 2 in the standing in the group stage. Senegal, it looks like they're going to cruise past Iraq 4-0. So those are the games right now. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, like I said, and we'll also talk about the upcoming. We'll talk about the Pirates game, win or lose, and we'll talk about Night of Champions in tomorrow's episode and Sunday's episode, and then Sunday Sports too. But thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports. If you have anything, please let me know down below. And thank you for watching and subscribing to Stache Sports. This is Stache Sports signing off.